it's heavy energy for me tonight, and yeah, there's not a whole lot to say about it other than that. And also listening to Matt talk about California and its woes. Yeah, so I'm back in San Francisco, Ubering, doing the thing. I think something to be very aware of and to never ever lose sight of is that the existence is largely spiritual. It's not 3D is what you see with your eyes has very little to do with what's going on in the real world, which is the spiritual world. And if you also remember that, at least the theory, the theory that this realm here it's like an intersection point between a whole bunch of other realms, or a whole bunch of other dimensions. And it's like a weird cross section or something. And so that explains pretty well, I think, why when you try to cognize the realm rationally and logically, and you know, even if you just take the cursory glance at the phenomenon that happened, that is currently happening, the fires is just one tiny bit of it. I mean, it's big for me because I live here, but I mean, if you've been doing the thing for very much time, then you know there's just anomalies everywhere. And the fact that the majority of the people don't notice, or the majority of the people seem to lack empathy, or the majority of the people seem to lack the capacity to question their reality or their existence, anything. I mean, just ask creative questions about where they live, why they live, how they live, and so on and so forth. None of it adds up if you take this 3D realm at face value. And if you just continue to do that, I feel like the two main options are to either become more and more brainwashed, because that's what the system does until you essentially aren't there anymore, or you go insane if you take it at face value. Those are kind of the two options, and that's not a joke. That's what actually happens. And the way to avoid those two options is to remember that it's a spiritual existence. It's non-form. It's non-matter. Matter is just the outwardly appearing phenomenon, and we can't see the spirit world. Some of us can. There are some clairvoyants and there are some adepts. You know, that's usually outlawed in the past, but it doesn't stop them from doing what they do. They just kind of go underground, or they keep it hush hush or something. But the way to not go insane with it all is to remember that you don't see what's actually going on, but you do have access to it within. That whole biblical thing of the kingdom is within. So, and you will also glean understanding of the events and the things that appear around you that without having access to that spiritual realm would make no sense. And there are guides, there are guardians, there's divinity, you know, doesn't matter what approach you take to this realm, if you don't accept guidance and help from the places where it exists, then you're very, very alone, or you're feeling very alone. You're not ever actually alone, but you can't take it at face value. If you take it at face value, you'll feel alone. You have to connect up with your guides and your guardians and get in touch with spirit, get in touch with the quietness that is non-reactive and simply understands everything. And that will guide you through this realm. This place is not an easy or fun place to be for the most part. It just isn't. It's not playground. It's not like, yes, we are creators, but this situation, it seems to be more of a, I don't know how to say it. It seems to be more of either a test or a mission to salvage beings that are possibly stuck here and that have possibly, been stuck here for a long time. And everybody doesn't remember the circumstances of their arrival here, which makes it even more muddied and confused. But I can tell you that the coincidences that I've seen in my own life and in how the interactions that I have with other people that aren't zombies have played out, it's direct evidence to me that there is an unseen, benevolent force that helps you. People traditionally know that as God, and a lot of you, and myself included, have been jaded on that concept because it has been so manipulated and distorted, like everything in the realm. There's not any one aspect of system where it hasn't been distorted and manipulated and flipped upside down. There's not one aspect of it. There are beings here who are pure, who flow with the spirit that's here salvaging or healing or repairing or whatever is going on here. It's individual beings that are connected via the higher network, via the higher moral attributes even of compassion and true empathy, the idea that generosity should be given without expectation of return, and that generally, if a bunch of beings are in a situation, they're supposed to be helping each other. And of course you don't see that out there for the most part, but that's just because everybody's asleep or they're zombied or whatever. They're numbed out by all the shit that goes on here. And the situation is progressing quickly, actually. Not on the surface very much, but spiritually, and at least even if I were to just consider my own progression, it's happening very quickly. And most likely it will continue to escalate, because a system that has been designed to the tune of depravity and the Ouroboros type design, it doesn't just get better just because it does what it was supposed to do, which is to consume and consume and consume. I mean, we're called consumers, it's ridiculous, obviously. We consume everything, as far as if you're just following the things that are set out in front of you. And there's just lots of lip service everywhere, and you're hard pressed to find role models. You're hard pressed to find beings that aren't bought in or bought out or sold out, it's difficult to do that. And in addition to all of that, everybody is isolated. You know, everybody, the awake ones, the aware ones are isolated out, and that's probably for a reason, because each awake individual acts as a mainstay in that area of the realm. They act as a stability in a realm that truly seems to be desiring to go into chaos and close itself out and eat itself up and disappear, like the Ouroboros, right? So just always remember that, number one, this realm is vastly fucked up in numerous inexplicable ways. And there's not really any denying that, according to what I see and feel. That's number one. Number two, if you're aware and awake, you're here on a mission. You're doing something. You have a role. And number three, that role is not presented to you on the surface. Your parents have not told you about it, most likely. The society certainly isn't telling you about it. And you don't know what it is until you do that self-work stuff, and until you connect into your inner divinity, and you connect into your guides and your guardians and your angels and your whatever else that's out there. You won't know. And you won't be doing what you're supposed to be doing here. It's not just happenstance that the situation is what it is, and there are key individuals that are helping here. There's no coincidence about it. And if you don't do that self-work, then you're most likely still being run by the mechanical ego. And all the ego does is it takes an already constricted realm and an already constricted consciousness. The consciousness is already constricted by being shoved into the body. That's already painful for the consciousness as it is. You're taking that already constricted state and you're adding the blinders, and you're adding the myopic aspect, and you're removing yourself from your help if you're not doing your self-work, if you're not consciously connecting with that which you consider to be a benevolent force, and it does exist. Yeah, it's necessary. So, anyway, I'm feeling a bit. It's a weird, energetic night for me, and I don't really like being back in San Francisco. But, yeah. Let me know what you guys think, and girls. Let me know how the energy feels for you tonight. And just remember that everyone that's here, that's aware and awake, is here. We're here for each other. We're not here for any other reason. And we're also here to do what we're doing as far as the realm is concerned. And you don't necessarily know that directly, but if you go within and you connect with that which will help you, then you'll know. Okay, bye.